Listen to Michigan with some jackass, The truth is the truth, period. Fuck all this bullshit. And here we go.
Ben Carson did not raise his voice here, and that's exactly why this became dangerous.
And thank you for your courage to be here, because in the society that we live in today, it takes a lot of courage to say that you're supporting President Trump. And it's really quite interesting how people have tried to manipulate people and how to intimidate people and change their minds. This has been going on since we've been in America. You go back to the days of slavery, and in a lot of the states there were more slaves than there were owners. So what did they do? They had to divide the slaves. So they told the ones in the house, you're better than the ones in the yard. And the ones in the yard, you're better than the ones in the field. And then after slavery was over, the light-skinned ones, you're better than the dark-skinned ones. And on it went, trying to divide.
And that absolutely still is running rampant within the Black American community. Understand this here. Like, we have definitely moved on, everyone, right, except for the Black American community in this context here. Lighter-skinned
no
people
such thing as
generally
Black
treated better
American
within the Black American community than darker-skinned people. Period.
No fucking Black Americans.
The light-skinned ones, you're better than the dark-skinned ones. And on it went, trying to divide people. And today they say,
America.
if you are a conservative, then you are somehow Uncle Tom, you're a horrible person, you're a demon. What a bunch of crap. But it's been going on for hundreds of years. And it's really time to put a stop to it. So I am very happy to see that you have the courage to come out. It doesn't bother me anymore, because, I only worry about what God thinks. I don't worry about what these other people think. But sometimes people ask me, what happened to you? You changed. I haven't changed. I changed about 35 years ago. Because, you see, I grew up in Detroit, a bastion of liberalism. They call it progressivism now. They keep changing the name. But anyway, then from there to Boston, a bastion of liberalism. Back to Detroit, and then to New Haven, Connecticut, a bastion of liberalism, and then to Ann Arbor, Michigan, a bastion of liberalism, and then to Baltimore, Maryland, a bastion of liberalism. So I had no chance. I was a liberal. I was way out there. And then I did something that liberals are never supposed to do.
Okay, the networks are down, the equipment is ready, and we've crippled their supplies. Mrs. Rackman has written our check and given us the green light. We're good to finally move on that submarine and stop this threat once and for all.
Horrible racist person. He sounds just like my mother.
What's funny about that statement is that's exactly correct. Okay, like when I speak to a good amount of Black Americans in America, they all are saying kind of the same things, but because they've been brainwashed into basically thinking, not everyone obviously, but because people have been brainwashed into literally thinking that the right kind of by default equals racism, they will disregard all of the things, all of the conservative values for the most part that they are espousing on a regular basis. And I mean this here crazily. Even if you look at Africa for a second, look at West Africa, where the majority of the descendants of Africa in the United States of America have come from, right? They are the most conservative people you'll ever encounter pretty much anywhere around the globe, and I mean this here. They don't play with none of the craziness that we play with here. The reality is, the majority of Black Americans that I encounter espouse nothing but conservative values until you then try to put a label on it. And then they're like, racism.
And at that point, I started thinking for myself. And that made a big difference. It made a big difference in my medical career, too. I didn't do what everybody else did. I always started thinking out of the box. How do you solve this problem? And that's the reason that God gave us these complex brains. Your brain has billions and billions of neurons, hundreds of billions of interconnections. It remembers everything you've ever seen, everything you've ever heard. It can process more than 2 million bits of information in 1 second. Would God give you something like that just so that you can be a sheep and follow what somebody else tells you to do? Or to think for yourself? And, don't you find it fascinating that so many people say the presidents are racist? He's a horrible racist and everything he does. Well, It seems to me like some years ago, Jesse Jackson actually gave the president an award in New York City because he opened so many opportunities for black people. Is that what a racist does? And then when he moved to Palm Beach, he was right on the forefront to fighting the clubs who were not admitting Jews and blacks. Does that sound like what a racist would do? He is the one who finally got the Second Chance Act done. Does that sound like what a racist would do? When he took office, he brought the office of HBCUs to the White House so it could get appropriate attention, more money than ever. Opportunity zones so that people could take this money and direct it to the places where people did not have opportunities before. An economy where you have the lowest unemployment rates for black people in history, and it goes on and on and on. Let me tell you something. If he's a racist, he's an awfully bad one. He needs to go get a lesson from the real racists. The people who look at somebody like you and me and they say, because your skin is a certain color, you have to think a certain way, and if you don't, there's something wrong with you, and they start calling you names. Those are the real racists. But you know, the president believes that a rising tide lifts all boats. He doesn't believe in identity politics, and that's why he's doing things that work for everybody. We should be happy about that. And the media, they like to pick on him, any little thing. You know, he's not perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. The only one who ever was perfect was Jesus, and they crucified him. So, you know, think about this. And we need to just look at the big picture. Think about all the incredible things that are happening. Think for ourselves and be missionaries. Go out and talk to your family, talk to your friends, help them to realize, because see, if all they're doing is looking at certain media, they don't even know about these things that we just talked about that he has done. And so they can perpetrate this horrible image of him being a bad person. It is absolutely not true. I work with him all the time. He's a wonderful person. He's become a good friend. You remember during the campaign came out, I stood there, I was waiting to hear everybody else gleefully walk past. He was the only one who stood with me until they straightened it out. That's the kind of person that our president is. He is my friend, and he will be your friend as you get to know him.
This problem is not a problem that's going to go away here. I mean, the average person that I encounter that is black American in America, okay, they're going to vote Democrat, but then when you sit down and talk to them about some of the policies, they're just like, I don't really care about that. All right, like that's not something that I have really that much interest in at all, because we would never really do any of that type of stuff in my household, if that makes any sense here. That's the average conversation. I mean, sure, my evidence at the specific time here is anecdotal. I get that here. My personal, group of people that I would know, none of them have any interest in it, but all of them are going to vote Democrat. That's the reality. And they're going to vote Democrat because they're told that they have to vote Democrat. Like, guys, I remember when Obama got in office, for example. There were people in that line voting for Obama that never in their life voted ever. They don't care about policies. They didn't care about nothing. All they cared about is the fact that he was a black man, and most likely their mother was bringing them there. Kamala was a double-edged sword here. So first of all, she was a woman, okay? And then number two, she was a black cultured woman, okay? I want to go ahead and say that here. I'm not going to call her a black woman. I'm just going to call her a black cultured woman in the context of my statement here. Right? And so that in itself brought a gigantic amount of people that were going to vote for her, regardless of anything. Understand this here. Nothing mattered here. The only thing that mattered is that she was a black cultured woman. That's it here. And the greatest part about it is that, guys, I sat down with a couple of my family members when all of this was happening, when Kamala was running. And I was like, so you agree with this policy of hers? What about this policy? And back to back, the answer consistently is, I don't agree with any of the things that she's basically saying, but I'm going to vote for her because she's a black cultured woman. That's it. That's it. That's it. There's no deep thought. The overwhelming majority thinks immediately she's good because she's a black cultured woman. And in a system like that, you can be easily fooled because all you really have to do is put that mascot up there, and they're going to vote for it. Like, people are just going to just immediately vote for it because they've been trained to specifically favor women exclusively, and black culture or like people of color. And this is just all the Democrats. This has nothing to do with specifically like black Americans in context of that statement. But yeah, guys, problem. Guys, the moral of the story here is that black Americans almost by default are hyper conservative. They generally do not care about any of the things that the left pushes. Okay, go ahead and try to date them for the most part, a black American in the hood. Go for it. Go for it. Do it right now. Go talk to them about their pronouns. Please. Do it. Do it right now. The only reason why they are legitimately, like, even in the Democrat Party kind of large scale is because the Democrats offer an out. Kind of an let's call it an accountability out. Right? That's what that is here. Oh, it's okay, things are happening in certain areas because, you know, this is their struggle for decision. And the Democrats are going to say, it's not your fault, it's the fault of the system and the things in the environment that's around you that has caused this. There are scholars that come from ghettos, right? Like there are scholars that come from like underserved areas. What are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense here. How do you explain those people that make it out of these situations and not absolutely live within the debaucherous nature of these areas? Huh? Explain it. Explain it immediately to me, because I'm telling you, bro, it's lost on me. Okay? So yeah, that's what happens. The accountability out is what is attractive, I think, to kind of large scale, like not all black Americans, but some black Americans, like mainly the ones who are stuck in the Democrat Party. I'll tell you that right now. I'll tell you that right now. That's a reality there. And the fact that the Democrats are constantly promising things and never actually doing any of the things they're promising. Okay, just know that that's a thing that happens. Oh, vote for us, we're going to do X. Look at Brendan Johnson, the mayor of Chicago, for example here. Vote for me as mayor of Chicago. I'm going to go ahead and fix the south and west side of Chicago. Okay, I'm going to make sure all the blight is fixed in some of these areas here. We're going to go ahead and make it that these areas are no longer underserved. We're going to go ahead and make it so it's not an education desert, a food desert. Okay? Understand, see where I'm going with this here. He gets into office and then immediately funnels mainly tax dollars to illegal immigrants and the other sides of Chicago, okay, that don't need it in comparison. Just be aware here. This is the behavior consistently of the left, bro. But either way, guys, we're here. What are we going to do about that? We can keep preaching it from the top of the mountains, my guys, okay? But the right is racist in the minds of black Americans, so they don't care, even though they don't agree with it.
Yep, they don't care. Why would they care? They got you voting Democrat, even though they don't do nothing for you. And to me, all Democrats, they're a bunch of fucking rats to me. Some Republicans too. I don't trust none of them fucking lying fucking criminals. I don't. I'm just saying. I'm Mr. Glass.